some help to be on the same level playing field as our surrounding communities, to be able to have those roads that connect us. So I'm just making my pitch. Thank you.
I think to Mrs. Bonucci's point too, let alone the emergency, the buses, as they pick up in the morning and deposit at night, the buses are sitting all over because they cannot get the bus across. So,
Mrs. Bonucci said it very well. From my point of view, I've been on the board over 9 years now. And number one project in that entire time is the 143rd Street thing, because the three roads that intersect are all in the downtown area, and it's a nightmare to get around. So I'd love to see that go forward and be the biggest difference for the regions, not just for Plainfield. The other thing you mentioned up front, Plainfield is a very well-run organization. We do good planning. The Public Works does a great job of preparing things, transportation study, things like that. So we're well prepared as a source of information for the region. You may be small, you'd like to be more involved in a sense, but we do our homework very, very well. And thirdly, I'd like to compliment you for bringing your staff here. Nice to see such a large staff you have, and give them a chance to meet us too, because we have a lot to offer, and hopefully we can all work more together in the future.
Really, Congressman, I also want to thank you. You know, you've been very visible in the community, especially with us. I've been in local government management for 22 years, and I've got to say thank you very much. In those 22 years, I've never had this much contact with the Congressman, and that speaks volumes to you as a person and your commitment to the community. So personally, I just want to point that out and say thank you very much. I know that was kind of a segue for my next part. I know we only have you for a limited period of time, but now is the time that we would take comments from the public.
Right.
Okay, so this is now the time to take comments from the public. So please, if you have some comments, come up to the microphone.
May also, is it appropriate if my staff have any questions, would this be a time where they could ask those questions as well?
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Okay.
So I greatly appreciated the presentations here, and I've been sitting here thinking about bringing up the Alliance for Regional Development. I don't know if you were involved in that, but the congressman got involved in that, and we have a couple of us who are actively participating. One of them is on transportation, the other one is on the workforce task force. This is a group that was born out of an OECD tri-state research paper of sorts several years back. And about a year ago, Governor Quinn, Governor Walker, and Governor Pence got together and kicked off this new alliance of sorts to try to address regional transportation issues, but more than that, just regional development and prosperity. But I'm just bringing that. Maybe I'll direct this to Brian. But can you tell me how active Will County, but also Plainfield, is in this effort? And the big question is, have us, the two of us on staff level, having participated in some of the meetings, what's the value proposition to this group at this point?
At this point, I wish Michael Garrigan were here, because I know that he has been actively involved with the group. He's our chief planner for the village. And I'll circle back with you after talking with Michael to find out what he finds the value to be of that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I think we've been very excited because there are a lot of great ideas that are being discussed jointly between the three states. And I know it would be nice to not have these other two states robbing us of our workforce and our jobs.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we think of it. But I think we've been sitting back and discussing amongst ourselves, where is this going? Is this just an annual get-together where we all talk about good ideas, or what's the action items that are going to come out of this? So I greatly appreciate your input.
Ms. McGuire, if I could say something before
Yes,
you exit this on stage. I know that we participate in the CMAP, Chicago Metropolitan Alliance Planning, and we hosted a study here in the village that talked about environmental impact sounds very similar to the alliance that you're speaking of.
And John Grilling actually said, hey, wait a minute, I might have something to say about this.
Good question. We participated early in the Alliance, also participated in reviewing the results of the OECD study. It really was it's a matter for us in terms of priorities. The work that Cook County President Tony Preckwinkle has put together on this regional initiative, which includes the 7 northeast counties of Illinois, just to be sort of frank, actually looks like it's going to be returning a little more benefit to us. The 3 initiatives that we're excited about is the export initiative, helping small and medium-sized companies in the northeast Illinois area find their way through the export challenges that small businesses have, whether or not they know anything about it, how hard it is to participate, financing questions. A second one is the regional permitting issue for big trucks, which is really a drag on commerce in the Chicago metro area. One that was introduced yesterday that we're really excited about is foreign direct investment. We're not only good at exporting things, but it really behooves us to start participating in the foreign investment opportunities that are out there. So, and the neat thing about this particular group, Congressman, is it includes the county board chairman of all of those 7 counties. And they bring with them their top economic development official and key leaders. And we've met 3 times, and we've really moved the cheese, so to speak. The alliance work is very good, and we support it. But we're always looking for, where can we get our best bang? And you asked me the question, so I answered it. Thank you. And I also have my propaganda, and I didn't bring as much as there are faces here. I'll just leave that for you. Yes, you are. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon now, everyone. My name is Vicki Polito. I'm a resident here. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, everyone else. When your chief of staff, I wasn't going to say anything, but when your chief of staff mentions the takeaways and the things that will come out of very good meetings like this, I may be a little less prone to be so thankful for the time because, as I know you are well aware, this is a big part of your job. It's probably the most important part of your job is doing these things. Time and resources are limited for it, but it's a huge part. But I did want to say in terms of takeaway items, and we talked a little bit about some of the initiatives that might be coming out of the President's office this year, things happening in the Congress, both houses of the U.S. Congress. Let one of the takeaway items be, please, for the love of dog, could the Congress not be a runner-up for the most do-nothing Congress again? You guys surely must go there to desperately want to do good things. Please find ways. Please tell your colleagues that people here are not only looking to you, but to the whole lot of them. Please find ways to do things for people, because we can't continue not to have jobs initiatives. We can't continue to have silly, pointless arguments and semantics, little PowerPoint presentations about calling the Keystone Pipeline the Keystone Jobs Bill, which is ludicrous. Please look for ways to do things. People are counting on you, and you know that, and you feel it too. And I know somewhere inside each and every one of you, men and women up there like, you're counting on yourselves. You want to be one day the old guy who looks back on, these are things I did with my life, not just things that kind of, oh well, this is over now, my turn is up. So thank you very much for coming out, but please do work hard to turn all this into some action items. Thanks.
Respond real quick. Thank you. I agree, and definitely want to be active, bringing results and value to the people that we get to represent. It's a big part of what we're talking about as a staff as we kick off these next couple of years. And I'm encouraged. Certainly feel like we've been very active. The House has passed hundreds of bills, not so much out of the Senate. So my hope is that there'll be some at least debate going on issues, not always agreeing between the House and the Senate and the White House, but having that discussion of saying we need to get good things done for the people that we represent. That's why I ran in the first place, why I've run for re-election, is I care about the families that I represent, and I want a brighter future for our kids than we've had. And challenges are big, but that's a time where we need leadership and we need to step up and get something done. So I'm hopeful, I'm encouraged,
I think there were some things certainly coming out of the president's speech this last week where there were areas of agreement, and I think that can grow. And I talk about it quite a bit, but I think, you know, if you really get right down to it, 70 to 80% of the things we would agree on, Republicans, Democrats, House, Senate, and White House. I think there's 20 or 30% that we disagree on. And, but if we move forward on that 70, 80%, to me, that's victory. And let's get that stuff done. We'll continue to struggle on the stuff we disagree on. Still fundamentally, I feel like the best product doesn't come out of Washington, D.C., but comes out of places like Plainfield. And so where we can empower Plainfield to be more impactful for your citizens, getting out of the way, where we need to get out of the way, having good, predictable regulation that makes sense, but not a sense of micromanagement or breathing down Plainfield's neck or your business's neck. So that's what we want to see happen. So my hope is absolutely what you said, is that we'll be productive, but with the real goal of having Plainfield be productive. Again, I think that's where good things happen for the people that we all represent.
Are there any other public comments?
Hello, my name is John Mass. I moved to Plainfield area 3 years ago. I currently reside on the east side of 59, right between Lockport Street and 126. At any given time, there's 5 streets blocked. You cannot get anywhere. Anytime you go anywhere, especially when they stop the trains will stop and you can't get anywhere. I've had people come to my house wait 45 minutes because they don't know how to get to my house from any other way. If you know the way, you have to go up 135th and come back around, and you know, it's just a big hassle. But I think on the east side of 59 there, I think a lot of homes are not really worth what they really worth because of that problem. People know that you got train problems all the time. It's really a big mess around our area. And I think something needs to be done to alleviate that problem. I mean, especially you talk about emergency services, anything. They can't go anywhere, they're stuck, as most people are. So we really need to do something about the problem. And I also think, I've talked to a few of my neighbors, and they're looking about moving out because I think there's an increase of train activity. And they don't like all the tankers driving through. If anything happens, there we go. These tankers driving through all the time, day and night. And it's just too many trains. Again, thank goodness they don't do the whistleblowing anymore, except on a few times. But you know, it's not the thing. But it's just living around that environment. You get tired of hearing it. And I mean, I've got used to it 3.5 years. But you know, we just need some help. Some people there. And I really do think it affects your property valuations and everything. Because if you know, when I bought the house, I knew nothing about the trains. Nothing. Nobody told it to me, and nobody said anything to me when I bought my house. Luckily, I bought a wonderful house. But again, if I knew about the train issues, I don't think I would have bought it. And I think a lot of people look at it that way. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
I follow up with Mr. Mass's comments just briefly. Some of you know and are aware that a year ago I had a personal emergency trapped on Center Street. I had moved positions 3 different times hoping to get through. And as a type 2 diabetic, I needed to eat some food, and I had a near emergency waiting for the train. So it is a definite problem. I think it's
Good morning. My name is Ed O'Rourke, I'm a resident of Plainfield. I just had a simple question, I guess. I think part of the meeting today was set up regarding the trains and the concerns, and I don't know if there's been really any discussion about what, if anything, can be done. So I guess I would ask the congressman, based upon your knowledge of what the rules, laws for railroads, maybe your staff can answer some of that. Is there anything that can be done to help alleviate some of the issues we're experiencing? Thank you.
Well, I think there's a couple different things that can be done. Some are quicker solutions, some are more long-term solutions. I think we have to look at all of those and start preparing for each of those. I think as far as the quicker ones, just to continue to lean on, push on, talk to, do everything we can with CN of talking about the problem and finding other solutions that aren't so crippling and dangerous, quite honestly, to communities like Plainfield. There's got to be other ways for them to operate safely and do the checks that they need to do, but not here. I mean, and so we've got to figure that out, continue to push and whatever it takes to get them to listen. And sometimes it feels like we're getting that, sometimes it doesn't feel like we're getting that. And so we want to stay engaged in that. We want to continue to work to make sure that we're heard, that your concerns are heard, and that if there are problems, we work together to try and solve those problems or see if there's another place again where what they're trying to do could take place, but just not right here where it's so crippling. I think longer term solutions are things like 143rd Street, where it's not going to happen fast, but it needs to happen. And I think this is an opportunity for us with the crisis, with the problem that we're feeling from the trains and the absolute stoppage of people being able to move when crossings are blocked, highlights that we absolutely need to move forward in getting funding, recognizing that this is certainly important to get around the trains, but also just to free up the roads. Even when there isn't a train problem, there still is a traffic problem in Plainfield because of just the unique situation. It's a blessing and a curse, you know, to have access to trains, to have access to great state roads. I've got a lot of communities that would, quite honestly, love to have that problem. They don't necessarily know what they're asking for, but it's true. I mean, there really is so much of what has made Plainfield great is the incredible access that we have, and so we want to celebrate that, but at the same time figure out we got to be able to do this better. And so if we can do that by opening up roads like 143rd and that new access, saving time, saving money, getting trucks off the roads that people are using. And that's always ultimate concern of mine is people being safe, families being safe, children being safe. And when you have blockages, you also see cut through neighborhoods, people trying to find another way, as the gentleman mentioned, of you kind of know the back routes. But there's also risk there when people who aren't familiar are trying to get quickly to someplace because they've been blocked. And what happens if a child runs out? I mean, we just have to do everything we possibly can to address these problems so we never have that tragic story that we have to respond to. So we're open. We want to help. What we think is the best solution is to continue to push on CN, for them to be responsive, to see if there's another way to do this in another place. We haven't gotten satisfactory answers yet, quite honestly. We've gotten, feels like some positive movement, and then maybe it pulls back a little bit. But we're not going to let go. We're going to stay on it. So, Brian, do you?
I think another answer for Mr. O'Rourke's question would be for maybe our staff to reach out to your staff and see what grants may be available for a grade separated crossing, and have our staff and planning department identify if it's even feasible and where it would be, and see if there's any grants available. Obviously, there'd be a local share we'd have to look at our budget for, but and see if that's even an answer. And if it is, that would be a long-term solution, obviously.
Well, Congressman, I know we've taken up all the time I know you were able to give us, and we took a little bit more. So I want to thank you very much for attending. If there are any other public comments, I know that Mr. Persons, Commander Novak, and I will stay here afterwards to be able to answer any other resident public comments, and we'd be happy to pass those on to your office.
Great. Just closing, again, thank you so much for doing this. We've always felt so welcome here and encouraged, again, by the great work that you all are doing and desire really to care for the people that you're serving and that we're serving as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you all for being here. And please, if there are other suggestions, thoughts, questions, ways that we could be of help, let us know. We'll listen, we'll respect. We may not always agree on what the best next step is, but hopefully together we will come to some good ideas and some good solutions that will be beneficial for all of us and for the people that we want to work for our future. So thanks so much for always having welcome, open opportunity for us to come in here, again, how we can do good things for the people that we want to serve. So thank you so much.
Motion we adjourn.
Thank you.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. We are now adjourned. Thank you.